Welcome, romantics and truth seekers, to a new, unmissable installment from Turkish series stars, your guiding light through the fog of celebrity lives lived under neon and rumor. Tonight we bring you a tale that stretches far beyond idle whispers, a confession-laced storm of unresolved longing, unfinished goodbyes, and memories that resurface precisely when the heart begs them not to. At the center of this whirlwind stand Ozan Akbaba, a leading man adored across continents, and the woman who, by all accounts, has never fully vacated his heart, Sinem Ünsal. Before we descend into the undercurrent of what really happened and why the industry is trembling, we ask a small favor that means everything to us. Subscribe to Turkish series stars, tap the bell so you never miss our deep dives, and if you want to join our inner circle and support our work, hit the subscribe button to become part of our family. Your likes are our oxygen. Your comments are the thread that keeps us connected. Are you ready to uncover what truly unfolded during that Roman night that rewrote the script? Settle in, let's begin. Dear friends of Turkish series stars, some loves flare brightly and vanish into cooled ash, while others glow like hidden embers under fresh snow, silent on the surface yet warm enough to start a blaze with the tiniest breath. A new emotional tempest has struck the entertainment world, and its epicenter has a name we all know well, Ozan Akbaba. In the last few hours, a source deeply embedded in Ozan's inner circle slipped past the usual wall of silence guarding his private life and revealed details that could reorder the romance narrative of recent years. According to this insider, Ozan never stopped feeling something fierce, raw, and unshakable for Sinem Ünsal, not even during his polished, camera-ready relationship with the Italian model Sara Bluma. Ozan did everything in his power to move forward, the friend confided, insisting on anonymity. He threw himself into work. He smiled for the flashbulbs. He traveled, he posed, he tried routines that looked like happiness. But every time the city went quiet, his mind drifted backward, and his heart refused to sign the final page. He'd tell me late at night, when melancholy loosens the tongue, that the chapter with Sinem was never truly closed. That single confession split the internet like lightning. Social media erupted with clashing opinions, and hope, once thought extinct, suddenly sprouted again in the cracks. Thousands of fans asked the same question in a chorus: was Sara Bluma only a beautiful distraction? A graceful, doomed attempt to fill a void that only Sinem could occupy? We want your honest take in the comments. Can a person love two people at the same time? Or was Ozan trying to convince himself he had healed when he had not? Let's step back to appreciate the weight of these claims. Ozan and Sinem's bond enchanted audiences across borders. Their chemistry on set felt like electricity made flesh, a magnetism that leapt from fiction to something that felt alarmingly real to anyone watching closely. And yet, the abrupt, never fully explained end of their connection left millions with a disquieting sense of incompletion, like a beautiful novel closed right before the final chapter. When Sara Bluma entered Ozan's life, public perception shifted. We saw them laughing on rooftops, leaning into each other during long flights, sneaking tender glances over dinner candles, letting the world assume that what we were seeing was all that existed. As is often the case in the theater of life, however, appearances were a costume, elegant, expensive, and not always honest. Behind the curated smiles, Ozan was fighting a private war. The insider recounts that he would call in the small hours, voice caught between resolve and regret, and confess a worry he couldn't shake. He said, "I don't know if I'm being fully fair to Sara. My mind keeps wandering to a place I thought I'd locked away." There, in that tremor of uncertainty, lives the portrait of a man split between honoring the present and wrestling with a past that clings like perfume to the skin. This slow-burning conflict is said to have reached its tragic crescendo a few weeks ago in Rome, the Eternal City, where eyes are everywhere and secrets evaporate under streetlights. Eyewitnesses swear that Ozan and Sara had a sharp exchange in a coveted restaurant tucked into the heart of the city. In a room humming with crystal and candlelight, their words reportedly sliced through the soft soundtrack of conversation. "I can't keep pretending," one phrase echoed, and the line that supposedly drew the curtain was even darker: "You're not her." None of them has released an official statement, yet their absence together since that evening says more than a gallery of press releases ever could. One picture was worth 1,000 words, now a missing picture speaks louder still. And where, in all this, is Sinem Ünsal? Throughout these tremors, the actress has chosen strategic silence, an eloquent quiet that has fed the enigma instead of starving it. She has not uttered a word about Ozan in months. Still, the most attentive followers, the online detectives who miss nothing, caught a curious detail. Not long ago, Sinem posted a line on her stories that stirred the waters. Some chapters return when you least expect them. Was it coincidence, literary musing, or a message released like a bottle into the digital sea, intended for one reader and one reader only? The timing raised eyebrows. The internet drew its own conclusions. The friend's revelations edged even further into a register only poets usually dare. He claims that Ozan keeps a hidden cache of photographs of Sinem on his phone and a small, tangible box of memories somewhere private. Scraps of handwritten notes, a ribbon fixed with a safety pin, a ticket stub from a rain-soaked night, fragments from a happier life. Sometimes he opens it, the friend added, and in the hush that follows, he calls her the only storm he ever wanted to stand in and the only calm his heart recognizes. The paradox, storm and calm, captures a love that both consumes and completes. What stunned many was Sarah Bluma's reaction. Known for her composure and uncompromising taste, she was said to be devastated. Sources claim that after the confrontation in Rome, Sarah locked her hotel door and wept without stopping, then booked an early flight back to Milan, leaving Ozan alone with the corridors of his thoughts. "I couldn't believe I missed it," she allegedly confided to a confidant. "It felt like someone else was always in the room, a shadow I never could dislodge." In one swift act that in our age can mirror the crackle of photographs burning in a hearth, Sarah scrubbed nearly every picture with Ozan from her social feeds and quietly unfollowed several fan accounts devoted to their pairing. The Italian press pounced. Glossy fixtures like Chi and Gente turned pages into magnifying glasses, scrutinizing every angle and speculating about a second chance between Ozan and Sinem. While no recent images of the two together have surfaced, the theories multiplied with wildfire speed. An Istanbul entertainment journalist went further on live television, venturing that Ozan and Sinem have quietly reconnected. What began, the commentator hinted, as a casual, cautious exchange might have grown roots. No confirmation followed, but that single hint was enough to fling the gates wide for the faithful. Meanwhile, Sinem's community split into two impassioned camps. On one side, the pragmatists, protective of her heart, do not reopen old wounds, they warn, forward is the only direction that heals. On the other, the undaunted romantics, true love deserves one more chance, they argue, even if it means risking everything again. Ozan, for his part, retreated into professional obligations, gliding through events alone with an air of focus tinged by something like quiet melancholy. At a recent charity gala in Istanbul, a daring reporter asked him outright if his heart still leaned toward Sinem. Ozan paused. He did not bristle. He did not deny. He allowed the briefest, rueful smile, lowered his gaze, and answered with a line that ricocheted across timelines, "Not every answer needs a sentence." The internet heard what it wanted to hear. Was it an admission wrapped in poetry or a refusal to add more pain to an already tender story? Interpretations bloomed. Facts, however, remained sparse. Amid this sea of conjecture, Sinem stepped deeper into mystery. Lately, she has been seen in Istanbul's trendiest cafes, sometimes alone with her thoughts, sometimes in the company of a small circle she trusts implicitly. A person close to her insists this silence is deliberate, she knows half of what's out there is theater. She won't feed it. If she decides to speak, it will be when she has peeled back her own feelings and can own every syllable. There is dignity in that kind of quiet. There is also danger, for silence lets the world write its own endings. So where does that leave us? Will Ozan and Sinem's paths cross in the open again, not as ghosts but as people willing to risk the noise for the chance at peace? Will Sarah choose to address Rome and the aftermath in her own words, reclaiming the narrative that has swept her along? Or will this remain another unfinished chapter, a constellation the public strains to read from scattered points of light? The only certainty is that love, when interrupted rather than ended, leaves marks time can't easily dissolve. Those marks seem etched into all three hearts here, lines that sting when touched and glow when remembered. As Ozan himself once phrased it to his confidant, according to that same source, there are loves that ache even in absence, and there are people who remain without standing beside you. That is the double life of longing, it lingers. Tell us, dear viewers, who would you like us to place under the magnifying glass next? And what is your verdict on this triangle, pragmatism or romance? Your voice is part of Turkish series stars. We read everything, we learned from you, and we carry your theories forward. We've reached the end of tonight's journey, but the story has not run out of road. We will keep watching every move, every glance, every cryptic caption, to bring you the clearest picture possible. If this episode moved you or made you question what you thought you knew about second chances, don't leave without tapping like and sharing with that friend who devours complicated love stories. Subscribe to the Turkish Series Stars channel if you haven't already, and remember to hit subscribe to support our work and unlock exclusive benefits. Thank you for staying with us through this storm of passion and doubt. Until next time, new revelations, new secrets, and, with luck, new answers. Good night from Turkish Series Stars, where the truth always finds the light.